In the world of true crime, few names are as infamous as Pedro Lopez. The man known as the Monster of the Andes terrorized South America for over a decade, leaving a trail of victims in his wake. But how was this serial killer finally caught? And what led him to embark on such a horrific killing spree? In this episode, we'll explore the life and crimes of Pedro Lopez and examine the events that led to his capture. Pedro Alonso Lopez was born in the town of Tolima, Colombia in 1948. Growing up, he faced poverty and abuse at the hands of his family. His father, Megdardo Reyes, was murdered 6 months before his birth. Lopez was banished from the house at the age of 9 when his mother caught him attempting to molest his sister. Homeless, Lopez wandered the streets of Bogota and was frequently sexually abused. At the age of 12, he was adopted by an American immigrant family, but fled after he was sexually assaulted by a teacher. However, his life took a dark turn when he was sent to prison for auto theft. It was there that he was first exposed to the brutal violence that would become a hallmark of his future crimes. During this period of incarceration, he was brutally gang-raped by 4 other inmates. Days later, Lopez hunted down the inmates and killed them in retaliation. The killings were ruled as self-defense, and 2 years were added to his sentence. When released from prison in 1978, Pedro Lopez began a killing spree that would span across several American countries, including Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. His victims were mostly young girls and teenagers, most of whom were indigenous tribeswomen living in remote areas.
Even if you kill 1 or 1,000, it's 16 years.
Lopez's methods were gruesome and sadistic, with many of the bodies found with signs of sexual assault and torture. He would often prey on girls who were traveling to or from market, or who were out tending in their fields.
The whole province, even the whole country, saw that there were so many little girls disappearing, and nobody really knew what was happening.
Despite his brutal crimes, Lopez evaded authorities for over a decade, leaving a trail of fear and terror in his wake. For over 20 years, the police had been searching for the man responsible for the disappearance of hundreds of young girls in Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. He was known to be cunning, elusive, and a master of disguise. The case was the largest manhunt in South American history, and it seemed like Pedro Lopez would never be caught. It wasn't until 1980 that Pedro Lopez was finally caught by the police. The circumstances of his capture are shrouded in mystery, with some reports suggesting he was caught after a routine traffic stop, while others say he was turned in by a member of his own community. After Lopez was arrested, police found several IDs and passports in his possession, all with different names. He had been living under different identities for years. Regardless of how he was caught, Lopez was finally brought to justice and stood trial for his crimes. During his trial, he shocked the courtroom by confessing to the murders of over 300 young girls, making him one of the most prolific serial killers in recorded history.
He grabbed the skull and placed it under his arm so we could take a picture of him. Captain Cordova took it away from him. What he wanted was to have a trophy, and he was proudly showing what he had done.
Pedro Lopez was sentenced to 16 years in prison, which was the maximum penalty for murder in Ecuador, but was released in 1998 for good behavior. More than 20 years since, his whereabouts remain unknown. His crimes have been the subject of countless books and documentaries, with many speculating about the reasons behind his killing spree. Some have suggested that his childhood abuse and trauma played a role, while others have pointed to a lack of psychological treatment and support in South American prisons. Regardless of the reasons, the legacy of Pedro Lopez serves as a stark reminder of the evil that can exist in the world, and the importance of bringing those responsible to justice. The capture of Pedro Lopez marked a turning point in the fight against serial killers in South America. His crimes have been the subject of intense scrutiny and investigation, with many hoping to gain insights into the mind of a murderer. While the monster of the Andes may have been captured, his legacy will continue to haunt and shock those who hear of his atrocities. And this brings us to the end of this video. Subscribe to our channel for new true crime videos every week. Thank you for watching.